But like Brandin Cooks out of all the guys was kind of my least favorite because of his $18 million that he was going to be owed next year. There was guys like Jeudy
I know,
and Chase
yeah.
Claypool who were both on their rookie contracts.
I would have. I mean, obviously, to me, if we were going to trade for a Cooks, then it's like, why wouldn't we have just kept Cooper?
Yeah, 100%. If you're going to trade for Cooks, why wouldn't you have just kept Amari Cooper? And that's why at the end of the day, they didn't go for him.
Jeudy, I would have probably taken over Cooks. But I actually think somebody like Chase Claypool, specifically because he's Canadian and he's so local to where we are, would have been at least selfishly more exciting. Would I have given up a second round? Probably not. Not for Chase Claypool.
Chase Clownpool.
So,
well, don't say that to him.
Can't you sign and can't you trade a player and then sign them? Like re-sign a contract?
Oh yeah, you can restructure, and that's the reason. So the whole reason that the Houston Texans and the Cowboys didn't make a deal was the Cowboys were trying to get the Texans to eat some of the $18 million. So I think no matter with the way his contract was already structured, no matter what, he's getting that. That's why we couldn't trade Zeke, right? Because Zeke was no matter what was getting X amount of dollars and was going to count X amount towards the cap. So they were trying to get the Texans to eat a little bit of that $18 million before they traded for him.
It's a very simple question in my mind. You just look at a first and a second are pretty. A first, I don't know that I'd ever trade away. It's too much value, and you can put too much effort into actually scouting a quality top player, or you can put a lot of effort into focusing on that one player. Second round, depending where you are actually projected to draft, I might give that away too. If it's a later round pick, but it can be too valuable if it's high up there because there's a lot of guys who drop to that second round first day. But third pick on, now you're in the kind of, to me, it tips the scale much more towards players who are actually playing than the value you're more than likely going to get out of that pick. So a Chase Claypool, you can't tell me is not a third round pick player at least.
Yeah.
And who knows, he might turn into that second round well-rounded player. Then you add on the need at the position, and I think that increases the value of the player a little bit more too. I don't know that all of those players, even though we have them kind of tiered in our head, they all would have been, in my mind, worth a third round pick going into it because, again, what are we waiting for next year? To make the push after that. Eventually, now we're gonna have Michael Parsons' contract coming up.
Yeah.
It comes into the fact that do you think you have a chance of winning the Super Bowl right now? And if you do, you go all fucking in this year.
That's kind of what I was going to chime in is like, look, we have first Barry Grant Jr. on the YouTube live chat says, don't be surprised Steve is in charge, the cheapskate supreme. Look at all the second rounders we drafted. How many offensive weapons? ? 0. So
yeah,
if you want to chime in there, a couple of comments on TikTok. It's Reed says you still have to pay him next year, which is what you guys are going on. Chubb as well as Cooks would have been $8 million this year. And then Carl Mum on TikTok says we better hope Washington gives us a boost.
And another thing I just want to bring up that I don't think we all know, and maybe someone does out there, they do some weird shit with contracts all the time. So don't tell me that they wouldn't have been able to shuffle fucking money around to make that 18 million, 15 million or something like
exactly.
that.
Well, that's the whole thing with when we traded Amari Cooper to the Browns, we were going to eat Amari Cooper's 20 million or whatever it was next year. The Browns ended up restructuring it. So they're paying way less. They're paying that total over like 3 years. Right. Exactly. So there is ways to cook the books a little bit and to shuffle money around. And it just seems like the Cowboys are the only team in the league that never, ever does this in their benefit. Actually, Barry and I were talking today on Instagram, and he had brought up that next year Dak's his cap hits 49 million, and then in 2024 his cap hits 52 million. And then you got a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who the next couple of years his cap's 30 million.